Hello and welcome to the talkSPORT Goals Preview Show, brought to you by Final One Standing. It's new from William Hill, 18 plus, gambleaware.org. I'm Sam Ellard, and joining me to look ahead to the first Premier League weekend of the season is William Hill's Lee Phelps. Lee, we're nearly there. Are you buzzing, mate?
Yeah, I can't wait for it all to get going. There's been so much build-up, isn't there? And obviously we've had a really busy summer of football. But yeah, once the Premier League gets started, it really feels like the season's back underway, isn't it? And all kicking off with Liverpool versus Bournemouth as well.
Yeah, we've had a fun summer. We've had the Lions, we've had an England-India Test Series, the Women's Euros, Wimbledon. But there's something about Premier League football that just tops the lot, right? And the first game is tonight, Friday night, Liverpool versus Bournemouth, an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's live on talkSPORT. And Lee, I'm guessing Liverpool, not just favourites to win this game, but the whole Premier League?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've seen a fair bit of money for them as well. The most popular pick in the Premier League is title winners. Probably not surprised because we saw what they did last year and they've strengthened since then. I know there are some question marks around the defence, but that's if injuries come in. And as they are right now, you'd expect Liverpool to start as they mean to go on. They're 2-7 in the 90 minutes to win this game, which is fair enough, really. 24-5 the draw. Bournemouth 8-1, and Bournemouth, they've really been decimated. And even though they've made what some people are saying a decent replacements, we don't know that, do we, until we see them playing. You know, the defence has pretty much been ripped to pieces, and they go into their first game of the season away at Anfield against a team in Liverpool who just beat Bournemouth pretty much every time they play them, and without conceding as well. So I think a lot of people will be looking at Liverpool to win and without conceding a goal, even though, like I said, those defensive question marks hover around the club. I don't know what you think, but I just wonder if the defensive stuff is just trying to pick fault in Liverpool.
I think the starting pair of Van Dijk and Konate, I don't think there's anything to be worried about there. I think maybe the problem with Liverpool is kind of what's next, because Jiro Kwanzaa has left the football club. Joe Gomez, who is now third choice centre-back, is quite injury prone, so clearly Liverpool working to bring a couple of defenders in. But yeah, Bournemouth, who would have thought that Bournemouth, many, many years ago, spending so much time in the lower, League One, League Two, the left-back goes to Liverpool, one centre-back goes to Real Madrid, and the other centre-back goes to Paris Saint-Germain. Quite remarkable how literally their whole defence. I mean, why hasn't someone come in for Adam Smith? What's wrong with the right-back Adam Smith, Lee? Come on. Absolutely bang out of order. But one thing I should say about Bournemouth is last season they had a pretty decent record against the top teams. Fair play, most of those wins were at home. But they stick to their principles, and even though it's away from home, against the Premier League champions, they will go for it. They'll take the game to Liverpool, and that's why I think it will be quite an entertaining game. So that's Friday night, Liverpool-Bournemouth. Then Saturday, 12:30, Aston Villa versus Newcastle. This is another game that's live on talkSPORT. I'm fascinated by this game, and I'm fascinated, Lee, to see how you guys have priced up what Villa and Newcastle can do this season. Now, we know the traditional top six has been broken up in the last couple of seasons. Villa have had a season in the Champions League, got to the quarterfinals. Newcastle also recently have had a season in the Champions League. But going into this campaign, Villa have been quite quiet in the transfer window. Lots of PSR issues surrounding them. We know Newcastle have had the Alexander Isak saga going on for pretty much the whole summer. And they've had another summer, really, of going after lots of players and not getting them. So odds for this game, but also interested for odds for both of these sides to qualify for the Champions League this season?
Yeah, it's there's you're absolutely right. There's loads on this match. Not least, by the way, before I get into the various odds, 12:30 Saturday is, of course, the deadline to get your entries in for William Hill's new free-to-play game, Final One Standing. £500,000 up for grabs for the winner of this first game, which could last. Could last a couple of months, could last 3 months. We'll see how it goes. So it's if you don't know what this is, it's last man standing effectively. William Hill's version, Final One Standing. Like I say, free to play. Go on the app, click the button, and then pick a Premier League team to win each week. If they win, you're through. If they lose or draw, you're out. Don't worry if you go out straight away on the 12:30 kickoff, because there's a new jackpot launching every single week as well. So my pick, by the way, is Brighton for the first week. We'll get Sam's in a minute. As far as this game goes, Villa are 5-4 favourites here, which I think is pretty short. They are at home and they've got a good record against Newcastle. Newcastle are 15-8, and as everyone's been talking about, they've just had such a torrid summer, haven't they? And made some signings, but this Isak thing has been hanging over them. And I just, I just think it's a lot to ask of them to go to a place where they don't normally win and get a result. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if both teams score. I think, lots on Anthony Gordon's shoulders here. We've got a price boost on him to have 2 or more shots on target at 9-4. But I think with a settled team in Villa, we know how good they are at home. We know how good they are at home to Newcastle as well. I just think they're the bet here at 5-4. Like I say, maybe you go match result, both teams to score. Aston Villa, that bumps it up to 29-10. But for me, Ollie Watkins had a great pre-season. We know he scores goals, consistently throughout his career and, of course, in the Premier League. He's been price boosted to score the first goal from 4-1 to 11-2. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see that happen. As far as top 4 goes, Newcastle are 3-1 to get into the top 4. Aston Villa are 4-1. So again, very close. Obviously, just pipped them last season. I mean, if Newcastle don't get some kind of positive momentum going soon, I could see Villa swapping that over. I could see Villa finishing. But Lee,
just interested on that top 4. Obviously, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea. I'm guessing will be the 4 favourites.
Yeah.
Is it then Villa and Newcastle ahead of United and Spurs and the rest?
United after Chelsea, 11-4, Manchester
Really?
United to finish in the top 4. It's unbelievable, really, isn't it? Given what they did last year and how unproven, the manager is really, and obviously players coming in and quality players. Look, they could do it, but I think there's been a lot of support for Manchester United across all of these markets, including the actual title market. I mean, they're nowhere near the favourites in the title, but yeah, they've been backed in. I think, the prices have been fairly big and people are seeing the signings that are being made. Man United are 11-10 to finish in the top 5. Newcastle 6-5, Villa 2-1. So that's kind of how it looks, and the similar pattern for the top 6 as well. Man United odds on, so are Newcastle. Then Villa are 6-4, same price as Chelsea. So it's going to be a fascinating battle, this Villa-Newcastle one all season, I think.
Brighton Fulham is a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. I'm interested that you went for Brighton for your final one standing pick, because when I looked at this game, just 3 places and 7 points separating the 2 sides last season, I say they're very evenly matched. And with this one, I was going to say to you, I quite like the draw.
Yeah, that's fair enough. 5-2. I hope it doesn't happen for my final one standing pick. But yeah, 5-2. It's a decent enough price for the draw. And I don't disagree with you, really. I think Brighton could be the one this season that just surprise a few people. I know that's a bit mad to say because it's not like they've been down in the doldrums, but I just think they might take a step forward this season. I think Fulham, we know what Fulham are about, don't we? They'll have really good runs throughout the season and they'll string a few results together and they'll always be in that kind of mid-table situation. They're 14-5 to win the game. Brighton are odds on here, 10-11. One thing I do like here, though, I think Brighton will win, as I said, but I think both teams will score. These two were first and second, Fulham first, Brighton second in the both teams to score table in the Premier League last season. Brighton to win and both teams to score is priced up at 5-2. Plenty of price boosts and your bet builder available there as well. So yeah, interesting game. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that my tactic of going for not one of the big clubs in the first week pays off.
Yeah, I think you've gone. I was going to just go nice and simple and go Man City to beat Wolves as my pick for that one. You've gone a little bit sort of more brave, perhaps. I like it. Stadium of Light, Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock is going to be absolutely bouncing. Sunderland back in the Premier League. It's been a busy summer as well. 9 signings have come in over the past couple of weeks, so they go in on an absolute high. And then you've got West Ham kind of at the other end of the scale. They had a really, really disappointing season last year. There's lots of question marks around Graham Potter, whether he's the right man to take the football club forward. They go in with no Mohamed Kudus, who has been one of their best players over the last couple of seasons. So I'm interested to see how you guys have priced this one up, Lee, because you maybe just on paper think West Ham against the new promoted side, you fancy them. But with Sunderland, the momentum they've got, maybe Sunderland shorter than what perhaps some punters might expect them to be?
Yeah, probably are a little shorter. West Ham are the favourites at 6-5. Not sure I could do that. All the reasons that you just mentioned. I just think in terms of momentum. And I know momentum doesn't win you football matches, but anyone who's been to watch a game at the Stadium of Light will know
it helps.
On a day like this, it will be absolutely rocking. 11-5 Sunderland are. You're right. You probably would want them a little bigger to back them.
Yeah.
You were talking about the draw in the Brighton Fulham game. This looks a draw to me. I hate sitting on the fence and going for a draw, but 23-10 the draw. The draw in both teams to score. So 1-1, 2-2, or maybe even bigger is 16-5. I can see that. One interesting one is Jared Bowen is in the price boost as well, and I expect goals in this game. I don't expect it to be boring because I think Sunderland will have to go after it as well with that crowd behind them. Jared Bowen, whether they win or not, is just under 2-1 to 1 just to get a goal in the game. Obviously, he's quality.
And also interested for the odds you'll give Sunderland to stay up. We know last 2 seasons in the Premier League, it's been back-to-back seasons where the 3 teams that go up have come straight back down. Can Sunderland break that? What chances do you give them of staying up?
Second favourites to go down. Burnley are 1-3 favourites. Sunderland 2-5. Then Leeds are priced up at even money. Then
Wow.
Brentford 11-4. Wolves 3-1. West Ham 5s. And you get into Everton and Fulham at 7s. Crystal Palace 15-2. So yeah, it's pretty much wide open. We've had a relegation treble running all week. Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland to all go down. So the 3 promoted teams again, 5-2, and it jumps to 10-1 when you take out one of those, mainly Leeds, and stick in a Brentford, for instance. Brentford, Burnley, Sunderland 10s. So is Burnley, Sunderland, and Wolves 10-1. So there's some interesting prices there. It's well worth a look at that relegation.
And I think a lot of people will be looking at that, Lee, and might be thinking with the window that Brentford have had, lots of good players going, the manager going, and I think some people are thinking that Sunderland, could have a pretty decent season. So yeah, that's quite a big jump up at 10-1. I think lots of people think we'll have a look at that and maybe put in a Brentford and see what can happen. Spurs Burnley, how do you guys see this one going?
Yeah, Spurs, not surprisingly, heavy odds on favourites here. Spurs are the most popular pick in final one standing, by the way, for week one. Just under 30%. I don't know if that will change over the final few hours as we get closer to that 12:30 deadline. As having seen Tottenham in midweek, obviously expended a lot of energy. They're at home against Burnley, who are 7-1 in the 90 minutes. The draw 18-5. We know, Spurs, are susceptible. They played really well for the majority of that game against PSG, of course, but in the end did succumb again. Can Burnley get a goal here? I think that you'd have to say Tottenham are the bet. The only worry is that fatigue, I guess. But they've got players to come into that team. And I just think they're a better side. If you think Burnley can get a goal, Tottenham to win, both teams to score, priced up at 2-1, obviously is a lot more attractive than the 4-11 for Tottenham just to win the match. I'd be having a look at the price boost on this one. And I think, look, Tottenham are going to go into most ACCAs, I think. That as we've seen from the final one standing pick, it's most people's thinking that this will be the one that wins this weekend. So there's plenty of those kind of shorter price favourites across the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League and down the divisions as well. So if you want to use William Hill's new ACCA boost, basically you need 4 or more picks in that, and that activates the boost. And then the more picks you put in, the bigger the boost gets. All the T's and C's are available on williamhill.com or the app. But it goes up to 15 picks will get you a 100% boost in the end. So well worth having a look at some of these short price ones across the Premier League and the Championship.
Lee Phelps, I'm going early with this one, saying it on the Thursday morning before the Premier League even starts. We're going to have a lot of fun working together this season. I was excited for the season to start before this. I'm even more excited now. 5 games down, we got 5 to go. This is the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing. It is new from William Hill, 18+, gambleaware.org. And this is the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing. New from William Hill, it's 18+, gambleaware.org. 5 more Premier League matches for us to have a look at. Starting then with the Saturday evening game. It's Wolves versus Man City. This is the 5:30 kickoff. Lee, on Man City, before a ball's kicked this season in terms of an outright price to win the league, would they be as big as they ever have been since Pep Guardiola's arrived at the Premier League?
Yeah, 3-1 pre-season, 3-1. Yeah, obviously they drifted when last season quite a bit, but yeah, 3-1. And there are a lot of unknowns. I mean, they are absolutely friendless in the market. Liverpool are the most popular pick for the Premier League title. Chelsea and Manchester United both above Man City, and Arsenal, by the way, who haven't got a lot of support in the title race market. So yeah, there's not a lot of love for City. Look, they should get off to a winning start here, though, shouldn't they? The 2-1 on, which you might say is you might have expected them to be a little shorter. They would have been, wouldn't they? Much shorter than that when they were in the pomp. Wolves 5-1, the draw 16-5. I'm intrigued by this game. Again, very popular pick in final one standing. It'll be in the Accas during Saturday. Hope there'll be a lot of punters thinking they get to 5:30 and this might be the last one in their ACCA that they need City to get over the line. The one I picked out here was the man that a lot of people are talking about for this new season is Tierney Reinders. Had a good pre-season. He's 23 to 10 to score at any time in this game, which I think is decent. I think there'll be chances galore for City. Obviously, Haaland is the favourite in that betting market. He's 13 to 5 to score first, 8 to 11 to score at any time. But I think Rangers will, I don't know if Wolves will be able to contain this City side for the full 90 minutes. It might be harder than we think for City, but I think him to score at any time is a decent look. You get impact sub as well with your featured player markets this season. So if the player that you back to score a goal, for instance, goes off, the player coming on to replace him carries your bet on as well. So that might be a decent one, especially in these early games, as players might not be fully 90 plus minutes match fit, might get taken off. So you get you get that running for you on the featured markets on that.
We go to Sunday then. We've got 2 o'clock games. We'll start with Chelsea Palace. I'm fascinated about what we're going to see from Chelsea this season, Lee, because I think going forward, I mean, they got not far off half a dozen sort of attacking players to pick from across the front line. I mean, I think they're going to score lots of goals this season. But I find their summer business fascinating because I then look towards the defence. I think you could argue they need 2 centre-backs and a goalkeeper. And all the players they're linked with, whether it's Xavi Simons or Alejandro Garnacho, are attacking players. And I can't for the life of me think that when you look at that Chelsea squad, you think they need another winger or another playmaker. Go and sign a goalkeeper, go and sign a centre-back, and then maybe we can have a conversation about Chelsea putting the pressure on the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal this season. But Lee, talking to lots of people, lots of punters, a few people are having Chelsea as maybe being dark horses to win the league this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier on, they've attracted a fair bit of money. I think the Club World Cup, the fact that the money's been spent, the fact that the players look, there seems to be a much more an air of stability about them, and the players that have come in seem to be, much more trustworthy almost from a fan's point of view or from a punter's point of view. The 15-2 to win the title this season, and they seem like we're talking about them in the same breath as Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, rather than talking about them in the same breath as Villa, sure, Newcastle, Man United, Tottenham, aren't we? So suddenly that seems to have shifted. The 4-7 to win this game, the draw 3-1, Palace 4-1. I mean, Palace, write them off at your peril, because look what they did in the Community Shield, and obviously coming fresh off the trophy win. Now there's obviously been a lot going on behind the scenes with them. You wonder, there's a lot of transfer speculation around the players. Obviously the demotion in Europe in the end. 4-1 might attract a few Palace fans in because they've seen what this team can do. I think Chelsea at 4-7 is one of those that definitely goes in the ACCAs, and I think look out for price boosts around Cole Palmer. I just think one thing with Palace is that they finished the season great, didn't they? They started the season very sluggishly last year, and you wonder if they might be a little sluggish this season as well. This is a tough start for them. I think Chelsea will get off to a flyer. And I think they'll win the game 4-7, a little short, but I think it's one for an ACCA. And
just briefly, Lee, the match odds for the other 2 o'clock game on Sunday, Nottingham Forest, Brentford?
Yeah, Forest 21-20, the draw 12-5, Brentford 12-5. Brentford, I think they could be bigger than that. If Forest are anything like the team they were last season, then they should win this at a canter, given Brentford's woes during the summer and at the end of last season. Brentford next in the betting to be relegated around, apart from the promoted 3. So I think Forest should be odds on to win this at home. 21-20 as it stands as we record this. I think that's a decent bit of value. And I think with the Morgan Gibbs-White situation, there's a bit more like positivity around that club, isn't it? It's like, there's a bit of loyalty there. I think this might be one for a bet builder. Look out for the bet builder boost across the weekend. We'll be offering, free bet builders, and there's some offers around. If your bet builder loses as well, there's some concessions there. So look out for all the bet boosts across the weekend. Price boosts as well. I think this one though, it's just Forest to win, 21-20.
Yeah, I like that price. I'm with you. I'm surprised that they're not odds on, especially given the tough summer that Brentford have had. Then at 4:30, there's no doubt about it. The eye-catching game of the weekend is at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United versus Arsenal. I think, Lee, lots of people might be building a little sort of double here of Gyökeres and Šeško both to score in this game.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Yeah. Fascinating game, isn't it? I mean, we've talked already about Manchester United, the money coming in for them, for the like top 6, top 5, top 4, even the title race. Big start. And like I think some Arsenal fans are fairly nervous about this because you don't quite know what you're going to get with Manchester United. Arsenal could go there and win well, and we all go, oh yeah, so Man United haven't changed at all. Or the manager could have worked wonders during the close season. Obviously, players who've come in have got Manchester United fans fairly excited. They're 5-2 to win this in 90 minutes. The draw 12-5. Arsenal even money. I like all three of those prices, if I'm being honest.
Having watched Manchester United be absolutely woeful for 38 games last season in the Premier League, I think evens is a really good price for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think if you're going to back Manchester United, I think you have to chuck in both teams to score. I can't see, if they win, I can't see them beating Arsenal to 0. So Manchester United to win and both teams to score is 11-2. Arsenal to win and both teams to score is just under 3-1 at 29-10. But you're right. I mean, you look at the quality in terms of an attacking side of things in this match, and there's so much to go at. I mean, Mbuemo's 17-5 to score any time in the game. Gyökeres is 5-4 any time. I mean, if he has a season that Arsenal need him to have, he will not be odds against to score in a game this season, I don't think.
Yeah, for the rest of the
look
season,
at Haaland. Yeah. You never get him at this sort of price. I know he's away from home, but I think if he is, like I say, if he's going to score the goals that Arsenal need him to do to win the title, 5-4 might look like a decent price anytime. He's 7-2 to score first. He's 7-1 to score 2 or more. 25-1 for a hat trick, Arsenal fans. If you can dream about that.
Oh well, after spending about a year talking about him being linked with the Premier League, let's hope he can get off to a good start. And we finish, Lee, with Monday night, Ellen Road, Leeds Everton. It's another game that's live on talkSPORT. Am I right in saying a little birdie tells me, Lee, that you might think Everton could be the surprise package this season, perhaps?
There's a few people have spoken about that, haven't they? I think they're in a good place, aren't they? I think the Grealish signing is really interesting. I mean, everyone loves Jack Grealish, don't they? Kind of out in the wider world.
Jack the lad.
But he's like a lad. He seems to be, but then his footballing ability seems to have dropped down quite a few levels. And I think, look, I don't know the guy, obviously, but I think he seemed to really revel in that kind of. I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but like kind of big fish in a smaller pond, when he was at Villa. And maybe when he went into Man City, he just didn't get that kind of arm around him type style. He seems to be that kind of guy, doesn't he? That confidence. If he can breed confidence and the game revolve around him and the team revolve around him, it could be an absolute genius move to get him in there. The 7-4 to win at Leeds. Everton are an established Premier League club. They know, how to get results, especially with the manager. 7-4, decent price. Obviously, Leeds United, we talked about the Stadium of Light. Ellen Road on Monday night is going to be absolutely packed to the rafters, rocking. I'm based up in the north of England. I'm not a Leeds fan. Got lots of friends who are, and they will make that place an incredible event. 6-4 they are to win the game. 9-4 the draw. I like that, to be honest with you. And it's not going to be a 0-0 draw either. Both teams to score. Draw 17-5. I can see that this one finishing 1-1 or 2-2.
Lee, that 25 minutes absolutely flew by. Thank you very, very much. So looking forward to being with you on Saturday afternoon. We'll be doing a live show together, won't we? talkSPORT Goals from 12:30, taking you through up until the final 3 o'clock games finish. Off air at 5:30, and I'm excited to see you live in action as all 72 games up and down the country are happening on Saturday afternoon. Lee, thank you very much, and I'll see you Saturday.
Cheers, mate. See you soon.
This was the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing. It's new from William Hill, 18+, gambleaware.org.